Kira is passing out a worksheet. Oh my god.
What?
I do not want to hear it. Yes. Kira's passing out a worksheet. You can sit in the middle. You can sit in the middle if you want.
Wait, what? We're watching the movie? Nice. Shot at me. Yo.
Nobody should be facing the computers. You should be facing the screen.
Oh. Super Nintendo.
Alright, we should all be facing the screen. Kira's coming around with the worksheet. We are not going to be doing a lot of the worksheet today. It's probably only like 2 questions you can answer.
Then can we have free time?
Super easy. You are not getting free time. I am so over you coming in and asking for free time every day. Like, I'm just going to stop giving you free time. You realize how nice it is of me to give you free time at all, ever? I give you like 10 minutes almost every day. And you guys are constantly begging for free time, and it's really annoying. Like, really annoying. You do not deserve free time just like for coming in. It's the opposite of what you deserve. 11, 14.
I love you.
All right, quiet, please. No talking during the movie. I'm gonna stop it a couple times to talk. Yeah. So, as I'm sure some of you or most of you have heard, there's some parts in this movie that I did not realize would be in the movie. All right. I saw this movie a long time ago, and I remember liking it. And I saw it was rated PG, which is usually good, but they do throw some curses out in we're 13 throughout. So I'm gonna be playing the. So then I bought the family-friendly version where they censor the words.
No.
But shh, quiet. No one's asking you for your opinion right now. So I bought the family-friendly version, but then there's this one guy who, even though they censor it, it's like so every other word is like so obvious. So I'm going to be playing the pause and mute game with this because I kind of know the parts now. But again, not asking for your opinion, just telling you. But this game is it's a documentary. It's kind of more on the like human story artsy side and less on the kind of information side. So I think that it's really interesting. If you like video games, if you played indie games, it can be interesting to see. If you're interested in video games, it can be interesting to see what the people who are in it. Excuse me, can we stop? Here. So I'm going to stop a couple times to talk about different parts of it. I think it's a cool thing to see the industry, especially since we're going to be doing, video game development. I think it's really relevant to what we're learning right now. So just, if you think it's interesting, I'm glad. If you don't, you're in school, so just watch it. And it's probably more interesting than some of the stuff that you've watched in school. So, just chill. Alright. Yes? I don't have one. I have one on my desk.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Again, you probably will not be able to answer more than like 2 questions. And that's not a big deal. No talking. You should be silent as we watch.
Part of it is about not trying to be professional. Like a lot of people come into indie games trying to be like a big company. What those game companies do is create highly polished things that serve as large of an audience as possible. The way that you do that is by filing off all the bumps on something. If there's a sharp corner, you make sure that's not going to hurt anybody if they bump into it or whatever. That creation of this highly glossy commercial product is the opposite of making something personal.
I'm determined to make video games. I make video games because I can. I am very, very good at programming. I can still basically make something that expresses myself like a movie or something that I wrote. I can make that as a video game, and I have the full ability to do that.
Things that are personal have flaws. They have vulnerabilities.
I don't know, to me games are like the ultimate art form. It's just the ultimate medium. I mean, it's the sum total of every expressive medium of all times made interactive. Like, how is that not? It's awesome. I want to be part of it. I want to have a say in what becomes of video games.
If you don't see a vulnerability in somebody, you're probably not relating with them on a very personal level. So it's the same with a game design.
My whole career has been me trying to find new ways to communicate with people, because I desperately want to communicate with people, but I don't want the messy interaction of having to make friends and talk to people because I probably don't like them. You know, yeah, when you make games and you put stuff up online and people like your stuff, or if they don't like your stuff, either way you're going to give you some kind of feedback in some way, and you have like this conversation.
It's why a writer writes, I guess. You know, it's because they can. That's the most effective way they can express themselves. And a video game is the most effective way I can express myself.
You know, making it was about, let me take my deepest flaws and vulnerabilities and put them in the game, and let's see what happens.
The generation of indie game developers are coming from, and I'm part of this generation also.
Super
We're
Mario,
the
the
first
Classic
generation
Mario style.
that grew up with video games, but not as an active purchasing choice. Since I was part of that generation that grew up with it, I feel an ownership of it. You know, games are mine. For anyone who grew up basically after 1975, 1980 or so, we were the first generation to grow up with our parents giving us games, and for us to grow up games is a natural and relevant part of our everyday existence. So this is not like a weird kid activity for me. This is not like some strange, nerdy pastime. This has been a part of my life.
There's been a tendency over the past couple decades in mainstream games to make everything bigger, make everything more realistic, just to kind of amp up everything. Big games have other goals. They want to entertain you. They want to get 10 million people playing at the same time. But indie games, it's like frequently one person who says, I want a game to be like this. I want a game to be about this special thing. Independent games are any game that a small team or an individual creator worked on to their own vision, something that they just felt like making and coding
Stop
and finishing.
The one major thing that made this possible is the rise of digital distribution. It used to be
I had this
that
game before.
retailers had a lot of power over every game creation company because that was the only avenue available to sell games. And so nobody was willing to start distributing games digitally because Walmart would get upset at them and they would take their products off the shelf and nothing would happen. But Valve changed that when they came out with Steam. They had no loyalties to retail, and so they just did it. And then after that, everybody else said, well, we have to compete with them. And there was kind of this whole flood of Xbox Live Arcade and PlayStation Network and WiiWare. It kind of followed suit with that. I think 2008 was the first year that indie games started to do really well. AudioSurf came out first on Steam, then it was Castle Crashers and Braid and World of Goo. Osmos did really well in 2009, 2010. Then Limbo came out and kind of blew the records, and then Minecraft came out as well. And it actually came out much earlier, but then it really built up and blew those records away. And when we're talking about it really well, we're talking about millions of dollars in revenue. So for teams of 200 millions of dollars doesn't really count very much, but for a team of 2, 3, 4 people, that's really significant money.
welcome to Elder Speak, the official podcast of ElderGeek.com. With me as always, I've got Gavin from the news, and a special guest, I've got Edmund and Tommy from Team Meat, who are building Super Meat Boy. Alright, so with us today is Team Meat. Team Meat.
Everybody in the indie scene is raving about this.
Meat Boy's coming, Super Meat Boy's coming. It was just all over the place. I mean, yeah, you can live under a rock for the last 8 months.
I knew about this game. This is the most rageous game ever. This game is really rage.
I think we both talked about approaching Super Meat Boy in the way where, like, our goal was to make a game that our 13-year-old selves would be super huge fanboys over.
I love this.
I know for
Oh
a fact
yeah,
that
of course.
13-year-old
What the?
would hear about Meat Boy right now. He'd be following us on Twitter. He'd probably be that annoying kid that was like, "Hey, send me a build.
Yeah,
My name's Super Meat Boy Fanboy.
Yeah,
Can you give me a demo? Come on." I totally do that because this game is very me, and I think Tommy would say the same. And yeah, I want it to be one of those games that kids would go crazy for on the schoolyard and passionately argue
Yeah, that would be hard.
this game's better than
That's
this
my
game.
face while playing this game. That would be hard though.
Edmund and Tom.
This is my room where I.
This video is from 2012, by the way, so this game is already out, obviously. Edmund and Tommy.
Grew up as a child. But yeah, this is my room forever. This has been my room. I have a bunch of posters from like Nintendo Power way back in the day. Yeah, it's just this room is my childhood, and that's basically what Super Meat Boy is. It's mine and Edmund's childhood, but put into game form by seemingly adult males. So you know.
Super Meat Boy is an upcoming PC and console game based on a Flash game. This incredibly hard Flash game that
I know this
was super,
website.
super
I
popular.
know this
It's a
website.
game that looks like it's going to be like traditional in a way. It's about platforming. It's about this kind of very well-known thing, but it's got a really distinct art style, and it's got a kind of a very
It's a platformer. He just said that. I know you guys maybe don't recognize that as a genre, but the genre of this game is called platformer. And a platformer is any game where they're kind of going from left to right, and a lot of what you do is jumping from platform to platform over obstacles and unlocking doors or whatever, but it's generally just jumping from platform to platform, which is why it's called platformer. So Super Mario is a platformer, which is probably the most popular one. But I don't know if you're not Mario Kart.
Wait,
Obviously not a platform.
how do you spell platformer?
From point of view. Super Meat Boy is
No.
a retro sort of platformer where you play as a boy with no skin, who's just meat basically, and he's trying to rescue his girlfriend who's made of bandages from an evil doctor that's a fetus in a jar wearing a top hat and monocle, wearing a tuxedo. During my whole development years, going through middle school and everything, it was just all Mega Man, Mario's, Metroids, those older, very, very difficult games. All of these games, like every one of these games on this wall, F-Zero was hard, Mega Man was very, very difficult, Spy Hunter was stupidly difficult.
Have any of you ever played an old game that was really hard?
Yeah.
What is an example? Anyone want to give an example? Quiet! Me talking is the opposite of an excuse for you to talk. It is a time for you to be quiet and listen. It's like you guys don't know anything about how to behave. Anya? Pac-Man? Did you find Pac-Man was pretty hard, alright?
The one that games are just hard in general.
Yeah, with the joystick, Annalise?
That one game, I forget what it's called, but it's like the little spaceships and you shoot out the little oh yeah, invaders.
Yeah, Space Invaders?
Yes, Space Invaders.
Yeah, that's a good one. Elijah? Huh? Yeah. Bella? Huh?
Yeah.
Like the original Mario Kart? Yeah. So fun fact, and this is actually that the difficulty of old games is directly connected to the technology that was available at the time. So those cartridges that the games used to be on, you ever seen those like Super Nintendo cartridges, those big ones? Those cartridges, really not sure why I'm talking over people. If you cannot control yourself, your life is going to be very difficult. Learn some self-control. Those cartridges had a very small amount of storage space compared to what we're used to today. I mean, like your phone can store, like the phone in anybody's pocket in here, no matter how old it is, can probably store thousands of songs. Okay, and songs being a kind of a way to distinct. These cartridges, these gaming cartridges, might be able to store 3.
What?
Yeah, 4 songs, like max. So the games had to be, first of all, really bad graphics because they couldn't be too big in file size. They had to have not that many levels. So in order to make people feel like they got their money's worth, they made the game's levels a lot harder to beat. So it would take you a long time to beat the game. Now, it takes you a long time to beat the game because you're playing a game that's 40 hours long, or it takes you a long time to beat the game because you're playing a game that's multiplayer online with people, so there's not an end. There is no ending to it. But back then it was like, if you made these levels easy to beat, then you could be done in 3 hours. So they used to make the games a lot harder. Nowadays, they make the games a lot easier because they're trying to get not just you as a kid to buy it, but they're trying to get your baby sister to buy it, and they're trying to get your grandma to buy it on her phone. Alright? Like Candy Crush is super easy to play because they want people who don't play video games still to play it.
My grandma won the first one.
Yeah.
No.
My mom and dad played
I used to, in my memory, when I was a kid, my friend had a Super Nintendo, and I spent one summer, the whole summer, I was over his house, like every day trying to beat the Lion King game. Okay, and there was a level in it where with the Just Can't Wait to Be King song, and you had to like jump on the rhinos and hop over the hippos and get swung by the monkeys, and it was like impossible. I mean, it took every day I played it. It was so hard. I finally beat it, and I never beat the next level after that. I mean, I never beat that game because they were just a lot harder back then. Yeah, I've played Super
Maybe
Meat
you
Boy.
should meet up with him.
I played
I love these.
Have any of you played Super Meat Boy?
I've heard of it. I saw someone playing it, and it was really someone was
Alright,
really
shh,
fun.
quiet.
I heard that game was great.
We sort of
Quiet!
We don't have a publisher, we don't have investors, we don't answer to anybody. And a lot of that is shown in the game, like we get away with a lot of stuff. We can have Dr. Fetus shoot somebody a bird because he only has 3 fingers, so it's not technically his middle finger. You know, we can put in any sort of humor or parody that we want. I mean, we have parodies of Street Fighter and Castlevania and Mega Man intros and Bubble Wobble.
So a lot of people want to know, like, is this game going to be like substantial, or is it going to be all the work in the character?
I think a lot of people are thinking that it's going to be sort of along the same lines as like a Castle Crashers, something like that. You know, in 2008, I think Castle Crashers and Braid were the 2 games that really made people look and go, oh, I can download games on my Xbox. And I think people are expecting this game to be the next big thing on XBLA.
As long as it comes out and it does
Xbox
something
Live
where
Arcade.
even if it made me like 20 grand for the next 2 years or something, that would be enough to make the next game. Just based on what I'm
Well, we
doing
used
right
Xbox
now.
One.
And I'd have to do that because I'm not gonna go work at EA, I'm not gonna go work at Epic. You know, that sounds horrible, it sounds like hell to me. So it comes out and people don't like it, and people just trash it and hate it, and it has a Metacritic score of like 20, and it's and everyone just thinks it's awful. And it's like, it doesn't really make a difference because even though it's a game that people are supposed to buy, it's not a game that I made for people. I made it for myself. You know, Ed and I made it as a reflection of ourselves, and we tried to make it as fun and as accessible as possible. Whatever. If people want to buy.
So this game, again, this movie's old. So this game, he was worried. He just said, if it made $20,000, he'd be happy because then he could, you know, kind of work on the next game. Because I think at this point, him and Ed were living together, splitting the rent, so they weren't really spending a lot of money. But they sold $15 a copy, 2 million copies. So $30 million, which again is not nearly as much money as something like Fortnite or something like Modern Warfare would make, but that's two people splitting $30 million, not like 500 people and a CEO of a company and like Fortnite. The people who make Fortnite, like who do the work, the average person probably doesn't make $80,000 a year. Maybe they make $80,000 a year. They probably don't make much more than that. Because the CEO is making like millions, and the investors who are investing in the company are making millions. In this game, it's just two people. It's literally like this game is about a person with no skin and his girlfriend who has band. Like Elijah and Alicia could come up with that idea at lunchtime, all right? You know, and it's just two friends. It's two friends, literally, who knew each other when they were kids, and they're like, "Hey, you want to make a game?" And they made a game, and they sold 2 million copies and made $30 million, $15 million each.
Hey.
No, I mean they probably spent.
That's how much I made.
Guys, quiet. Christina asked if they spent like their life doing this, but they made Flash games, which were games that used like those games you play on like Coolman, and that was what like Papa's Pizzeria. That's what Super Meat Boy started out as, and people liked it so much they decided to try and make one to sell. But no, this is not their life's work. They probably worked on it for like maybe, let's say they worked on it for 2 years, maybe 3 years. Really, I mean, yeah, I mean, yeah.
$15 million each.
Yeah, and they made Super Meat Boy too. So.
I see. They made a second one.
No, they're just showing you examples. Alright, shh.
If you follow indie games, even remotely, like Fez is probably one of the projects that you've been kind of like hearing about for a while. It's been several years in development.
Fez will be memorable either for its impending release or for never coming out.
And the winner of the IGF Art Award is Fez.
So Fez wins an award at the IGF.
It was hardly finished, but they were kind of one on the back of sort of small tech.
The sky, an awards ceremony.
I think within a week I saw it on every major gaming outlet online.
It's a game developer. It's mostly about this little 2D guy who lives in a 2D world, and then one day realizes that the world's actually 3D.
And all of a sudden, Phil, who is making this game on his own with a grant from the Canadian government, is some indie gaming rock star.
This is.
Phil is trying to walk around in Cubist paint with Fez. That's what Fez is. Your character is walking around a Cubist paint. 2D sprite characters in a 3D rotating world. At any one point, you're only seeing one side of the world.
Fez Xbox
And everybody
2010.
is just clamoring, like they just want to see the game, when do we get the game, when do we play the game.
there's been so much speculation about when, where, how,
What is
if
it?
ever this game is ever gonna come out.
So the developer of Fez is Phil Fish, and he basically goes on and on in this section about how these people online were harassing him